Miss Granberry. This is my demonstration speech. Here are all my note cards for you. So let's get started. A Norwegian proverb says, "Cookies are made from butter and love." Have you ever been sitting at home and think, man, I would love an ooey gooey chocolate chip cookie right now? I have been making these cookies since I was about 4 years old, and now I love to make them for holidays or just a night in with the family and friends. These chocolate chip cookies are a great way to bring families together and create something delicious. Today, I'm going to share with you an easy ooey gooey chocolate chip cookie dough recipe that you can make any day of the week. Let's get started making these cookies. First, you have to gather your ingredients. These ingredients can be found at any grocery store. You will need 2 1/4 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of butter, 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, 3/4 cup of packed brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 large eggs, 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and 1 cup of chopped nuts if you like nuts. If you do not want to use the nuts, just add 1 extra tablespoon of flour to your dry ingredients. Once we gather our ingredients, we now need to gather our equipment. You will need measuring cups, a whisk, a rubber spatula, a small bowl, a large mixing bowl or a stand mixer if you have one, a cookie sheet, non-stick cooking spray, and a preheated oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's get started with preparing our dough. This is a delicious dough that is very easy to make. We will start by preparing our dry ingredients. You will need to take your small bowl and add your flour, baking soda, and salt to it. Then use your whisk to combine it all together. This is what your dry ingredients will look like when all combined. After we combine the dry ingredients, we will now need to start working with our wet ingredients. You will need to take your large stand mixer or large bowl and put the butter, both sugars, and vanilla extract in it. Then turn your mixer on until it is very creamy and very combined. You will then need to use your rubber spatula to wipe down the sides of the bowl to ensure that all the ingredients are being incorporated. After you do that with your butter, sugar, and vanilla, you will now need to get your eggs. Add 1 egg at a time, mixing after each egg and scraping down the sides of the bowl to make sure that all the egg is being incorporated. This is what your wet ingredients will look like when all incorporated together. Now that we have our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients, it is time to start combining them all together to make our dough. You will need to add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients 1 cup at a time, mixing after each addition and scraping down the sides of the bowl with your rubber spatula to make sure that all that flour, baking soda, and salt is being incorporated to your wet ingredients. Then add in your chocolate chips and your nuts 1 at a time if you choose to use nuts. This is what your final dough will look like. I did not use nuts. Now let's talk about getting these cookies in the oven. Our final step is getting these cookies ready to go in the oven. You will need to start by preparing your pan. You will need to take your cookie sheet and spray non-stick cooking spray on it. Or if you do not have cooking spray, you can also use a stick of butter and wipe it all over the bottom of the pan to ensure that the cookies do not stick. The best option though is if you have non-stick cooking spray with flour added to it. Now that our pan is ready, we can get these cookies in the oven. Use a spoon to scoop out some of the dough and place it on the pan, but you need to ensure that they are not too close together or you will have one great big giant cookie. I have done this before. This recipe will definitely make more than 1 pan of cookies. So if you decide to make all the cookie dough at once and you want to use the same pan, you need to ensure that the pan completely cools off before putting the new dough on. You also need to make sure that you add cooking spray after each batch of cookies to make sure that your cookies don't stick to the pan. Or if you do not want to cook all your cookie dough at once, you can also put it in the freezer and save it for later. Now, pop those cookies in the oven for 11 minutes. Now, here's the trick to having the best ooey gooey chocolate chip cookies. After you cook those cookies for 11 minutes, take them out of the oven and leave them on the pan for a good 10 minutes. This will allow for the cookies to keep cooking but not become hard, so you still have that ooey gooey texture. A lot of people overcook cookies by leaving them in the oven for too long because to them they don't look like they're done enough, but they will continue to cook on that pan. Now that your cookies are done, grab a glass of milk and enjoy. This is what your final product will look like. I hope I've demonstrated for you all today how to make the best ooey gooey chocolate chip cookies. Making chocolate chip cookies is a great way to bring families together and create something delicious. A Norwegian proverb says, "Cookies are made of butter and love." Thank you.